Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Show here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an honor and a privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, and just celebrating being film fans. Listen, guys, I got to give some apologies in advance. You might hear some noises. There's literally this big construction crew doing construction work right outside my window. I suppose I could go out there and yell and say, "Don't you know who I think I am? I'm doing a show, damn it!" And maybe I could do that, but probably not a good idea, so I'm not going to do that. So listen, guys, we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about here today. Some exciting news about Helen Mirren and Ian McKellen doing a movie together. We got some stuff about why we haven't heard any Batman news going on. The real reason Deadpool 2 has been delayed. Krasinski's being on a roll. We got all that stuff to get to. But we got something to start off with first, and we're going to go off the top with this. Now, of course, Black Panther's been in the movie news a lot lately, mostly having to do with all of its ridiculous success. It's breaking this box office record. It's breaking that box office record. #1 film at the box office 4 weeks in a row. Can it make it 5 against Tomb Raider next weekend? I doubt it, but we'll have to wait and see. But at any point, there was a really interesting interview with the editor of Black Panther. His name is Michael Shawver. Now, Michael Shawver was also the editor for Ryan Coogler on his films Creed and Fruitvale Station. So he's been working with Coogler a lot on a bunch of different stuff. So he was talking about how there are a couple of deleted scenes that he revealed in a recent interview. I believe he was doing The Wrap, and he revealed that there was a couple of deleted scenes that he particularly found painful to remove. And here's a couple of deleted scenes that he detailed for us from the Black Panther movie. This one, he wrote this: "Hands down, the most painful scene to cut was one with Danny and Daniel towards the end." Now, that's, of course, is Okoye and... what's Daniel Kaluuya's character's name? I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Anyway, towards the end, after things go bad and Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan, is in control and all that. We're talking about, what are they going to do? What is Wakanda going to become? Those are two powerhouse actors, and it was an incredible scene with so many layers to it. Boyfriend and girlfriend, it was General and her advisor, all those things. That was painful. And Wakabi, that's the guy's name, the character's name is Wakabi. And that is a scene that probably would have done well, because, you know, one of my big criticisms of Black Panther has been the just out of nowhere shifting in worldview philosophy of Wakabi, that I love T'Challa, I want to kill T'Challa, like just like that, because on his first day as king, he wasn't able to catch Claw on his first day. And that just never seemed real. And maybe that kind of a scene between Okoye and him maybe would have ironed that out more. Now, the editor also went on to say, hey, the scene would have taken place about 2/3 through the movie, and that's when most movies start to drag. So maybe it was a good thing that they cut it out, but it probably would have been beneficial overall had it been in there. Now, this other scene, I really think they could have benefited from, but I understand why they cut it at the same time. The other scene he talks about is this. There's a scene between Chadwick, that's of course Black Panther, and Forrest's character, that's Zuri, which sets up their relationship. It sort of lets you attach yourself to their father-son dynamic so that later on the film, you really feel more. And you know what? I never really was able to put my finger on it, but that scene where, sorry, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Black Panther yet. Spoiler alert. I apologize. I should have said that sooner. But for that scene later in the film when Killmonger kills Zuri, and there's so much pain with T'Challa, they never really set that up. You know, it's like, well, they've had one or two harsh conversations, but that pain, and maybe had they had that scene in there to let us in a little bit on the affection that the two characters had, might have worked. But then again, going back to what the editor said, you know, the movie, you want to make sure the movie doesn't drag. It was already a pretty long movie, I think at like 2 hours and 10 minutes. So you want to keep the pace up. But I can totally see how that scene would have made the emotional impact when Zuri dies and T'Challa feels that pain. It probably would have resonated with us as the audience a little bit better than it did in the movie. I mean, overall, the movie worked. It was incredibly good. But those are probably two scenes I might have added a little bit to it. But I get it. As an editor, you've got to weigh. Hey, there might be lots of really good scenes, but is it worth the extra time? Is it worth risking slowing the movie down? Is it risk making the movie feel sluggish in parts? And that's the dilemma of editing a film that every filmmaker needs to face. And I can understand why they took them out, but it does seem like they would have added some benefit at the same time. Really cool stuff there coming out of Black Panther. All right, guys, listen, of course, the main topics today are topics that you guys email into me. But before we get to that, if you watch the John Campea Show, I want to make sure you're caught up to date with all the significant stuff going on in the world of movie news. So we have this little segment we call the Movie Newsfeed. Check this out. First up, Nerdist has put up a video that, if you see it, you may never be able to unsee it. Infamous The Room star and creator Tommy Wiseau has been making it known that he wants to be the Joker in the upcoming Martin Scorsese-produced film. Now, Nerdist has helped Wiseau make his own public audition tape tapping into the spirit of Heath Ledger's Joker. Recent reports have revealed that Joaquin Phoenix was in serious talks for the role, but that isn't stopping Tommy from taking his shot. Just wow. A first trailer for the upcoming film Sorry to Bother You has just hit the web, and it's all kinds of crazy and amazing. Atlanta star Lakeith Stanfield leads a cast that includes Thor Ragnarok's Tessa Thompson, Armie Hammer, Terry Crews, and Danny Glover. In the film, Stanfield, who also appeared in Get Out, stars as Cassius Green, who lives in what's described as an alternate version of present-day Oakland and gets a job as a telemarketer where he discovers a magical key to success. That key? Using his white voice when selling to people over the phone. Sorry to Bother You opens in theaters on July 6th. Next up, Disney has announced that they have officially begun production on their upcoming film Artemis Fowl. Based on the first book of the best-selling series of the same name and directed by Kenneth Branagh, the story is described as follows. Descended from a long line of criminal masterminds, 12-year-old genius Artemis Fowl finds himself in a battle of strength and cunning against a powerful, hidden race of fairies who may be behind his father's disappearance. Branagh recently directed such films as Murder on the Orient Express, Cinderella, and of course, Thor. I really don't know much about these books, but I do know the work of Kenneth Branagh, and that alone is enough to make me look forward to this film. Next up, Jake Gyllenhaal has re-teamed with his Nightcrawler writer/director Dan Gilroy for a new horror movie for Netflix. Yesterday, the streaming service revealed the cast for the film, which will support Gyllenhaal. That includes John Malkovich, Rene Russo, Stranger Things star Natalie Dyer, The Get Down's Daveed Diggs, Golden Globe and Emmy-winning actress Toni Collette, and Zawe Ashton, who appeared with Jake Gyllenhaal in his film Nocturnal Animals. The plot follows big-money artists and mega collectors who pay a high price when art collides with commerce. The untitled film will arrive on Netflix later this year. Next, according to a report in Variety, iconic actors Helen Mirren and Ian McKellen have been cast as the leads in New Line Cinema's drama The Good Liar. McKellen will portray a career con artist who can hardly believe his luck when he meets a well-to-do widow played by Helen Mirren. As she opens her home and her life to him, he is surprised to find himself caring about her, turning what should be a cut-and-dry swindle into one of the most treacherous tightrope walks of his life. The film will be directed by Bill Condon. Condon and McKellen worked together before on the film Gods and Monsters, for which Condon won a screenwriting Oscar and McKellen was nominated for Best Actor. And finally, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Robert Pattinson and Mia Wasikowska's new film Damsel has been picked up for release off the festival circuit by Magnolia Pictures. Damsel follows an affluent pioneer Samuel Alabaster, played by Pattinson, as he ventures across the American frontier to find and marry the love of his life, Penelope. As Samuel traverses the Wild West with a drunkard companion named Parson Henry and a miniature horse called Butterscotch, their once simple journey grows treacherous. Pattinson has moved out of his own Twilight shadow to become an incredibly talented actor and respected throughout the industry, so much so that he's become one of these must-see performers whenever he takes on a new role. And that'll do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed. All right, and now you're all caught up to date with all the significant stuff going on in the world of movie news, so now it's time for us to get to the main topics that you guys email in to me. How do you get a topic or a question on the John Campea Show? It's simply just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put that word topic in the subject line and keep your emails to 90 words or less. With that out of the way, let's dive in to the first email topic today. And that first topic comes to us from one of my Patreon supporters, John DiNicola, who writes, A while back, you said John Krasinski was poised for the A-list, but the failure of his 2008 film Leatherheads derailed that. However, with glowing reactions coming out of South by Southwest for both directing/starring in A Quiet Place, and his Amazon series Jack Ryan hitting this summer, do you think he's on the way up again? Thanks, and keep up the great work. All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And yeah, John Krasinski was one of those guys, because you had The Office, which was like one of the biggest shows on television. John Krasinski was like one of the most beloved characters on television. And he's got all the qualities for being a movie star, like a legit movie star. And yet, so then he got his launch with that. The really big push came with Leatherheads with George Clooney. Unfortunately, that movie just didn't work, and it kind of sputtered what looked like a skyrocketing ascent for him to the A-list status. And he's a super talented guy. But you're right, a little bit earlier this year, he also appeared in that fantastic, underrated movie that for whatever reason completely disappeared from the Oscar race, which was Detroit. I love Detroit. Anyway, Krasinski appeared in that. Of course, he's got his new movie, Quiet Place. He's got the new Jack Ryan series. There's all this talk about an Office relaunch, all that kind of stuff. He is back on the way up. And he has got the talent set. Him and Emily Blunt have kind of become the it couple in Hollywood now. So yeah, I see pretty soon John Krasinski ascending back up that ladder and maybe finally getting that A-list status that got derailed a few years ago. He's certainly got the talent for it, and I think the guy's great. I would love to see him succeed more. All right, let's move on to topic number 2. And the second topic today comes to us from Jammie Roussel, who writes, "Hey, John, I was reading that there was a test screening of Deadpool 2, here, this again, that the audience hated, which caused him to go for reshoots. But now I'm reading that Josh Brolin is saying that they're doing reshoots to add more humor based on the new Marvel movies, which is true." Okay, yeah, this has come up a couple times in the last few days, but I think it's worth addressing again because I keep seeing this flying around. There were these reports going around, I understand where they were coming from, that there was this test screening of Deadpool and the audience hated it. I have been told that is simply not true. That is simply not true. There was some rando who tweeted something out, like some unknown rando dude who tweeted something out, and then he pulled the tweet down. And, you know, sometimes I complain about the way that movie news sites cover these things. I think they've covered it rather responsibly because they've said, hey, look, take this with a grain of salt. This is coming from somebody. We can't attest to this and blah, 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 blah. Now, I was not at the screening. I don't know for sure that people loved it or hated it. I don't know. But I have been told that this report going around that the test screening audience was really negative is simply not true. That is just simply not the case. But they are going back in for reshoots. They're doing more pickup shots. So why are they doing more pickup shots? Because some people started creating this narrative. Oh, they're going for pickup shots because there was a test screening and the audience thought it was negative. No. They've planned these reshoots. They're comedy reshoots, so they're not difficult to do. But anyway, Josh Brolin was being asked about why the reshoots are happening, and Brolin just gave a very direct answer. And Josh Brolin said the following, he goes, "I'm up here right now in snowy Vancouver doing reshoots for Deadpool, given that it's a satire of all superhero movies, especially Marvel movies. How can you not?" Let me read that again. "I'm up here right now in snowy Vancouver doing reshoots for Deadpool. Given that it's a satire of all superhero movies, especially Marvel movies," there's a giant hint right there. "How can you not?" Now, it's also interesting that just recently, Brolin mentioned the fact that he just watched 30 minutes of Avengers Infinity War. I believe it's pretty clear. They came up with first of all, they scheduled these reshoots. That's why Brolin and Ryan Reynolds and everybody's available. But with Black Panther, with Infinity War, all that kind of stuff, they had new stuff they wanted to shoot. Things that they thought would be funny to satire some of the stuff going on in Black Panther and Infinity War, and that's why they're reshooting. Again, like most big major films, they plan reshoots now. That's just a normal thing for these big major blockbuster films. So I see no difference there whatsoever. So this narrative that some people seem to be spinning that Deadpool 2 crashed and burns with a test screening, which isn't true, caused them to go in for reshoots to change the movie, which also isn't true. So anyway, just something for everybody to keep in mind with all that kind of stuff. All right, let's move on now to the third and final email of the day. And this one comes to us from Tiago Pereira Pereira, who writes, I'm terrible with names, greetings from Portugal. Greetings. My question is, what is happening with the Batman movie? Matt Reeves was announced a year ago to be the director, and we literally don't even know who's going to play Batman or when the movie's coming out. What are your thoughts on the Batman movie's current situation? First of all, one of my best friends growing up was Portuguese. His name was Agui Cabral, and we used to do everything together. Anyway, okay, so what's going on? You're right. This announcement, I've been sensing a little bit of frustration from people lately about the situation with Batman, because you're right, it was over a year ago that we heard Matt Reeves was on doing it. They dumped Ben Affleck as director. You know how badly I wanted Ben Affleck to direct a Batman movie. But hey, when they announced Matt Reeves, I was like, okay, I wanted Ben Affleck, but if you're not going to have Ben Affleck, this is pretty much as good as it gets. Matt Reeves is a great director. Matt Reeves is a terrific director, and I was very encouraged by his hiring and all that kind of stuff, as were most people, because he's a great storyteller. He's a great director. Just look at his work. That was like a year ago, and still nothing. Okay, so I want to be very, very careful here, because I'm going to tell you about a little coffee meeting I had yesterday, even though I don't drink coffee. A little coffee meeting I had yesterday. Let me say this. I am not a movie news scooper, all right? Let's be very clear here. I present this to you as just a dude on my own YouTube channel talking to my audience so we can chat and talk about movies. I'm not presenting this as a piece of movie news. I cannot verify firsthand. I can't verify firsthand any of this is true. So do not consider this a news item. I'm simply sharing some stuff that I was told, and I can't verify the validity of it. So let me give all those disclaimers up front here, okay? I'm not coming out here saying this, okay? So if you're some guy from some other movie news site, if you want to run without a story, that's on you, okay? I'm saying don't do it because I didn't witness what I'm about to say. I don't know this firsthand what I'm about to say, so I can't verify what I'm about to say, okay? So nobody run with this as a news story, please. Anyway, so I had coffee yesterday at a little shop in Burbank here. Sat down with somebody with close, intimate understanding of everything that's going on with Warner Brothers and the DCU. Just let me say that. And they revealed to me a couple of things that, again, I don't know. I'm just being told this. I don't know if this is true. I don't. So there you go. What I got told was this. And I'm going to tell you what was said to me. And then that may sound negative at first, but then I'm going to speculate a little bit about why what I'm being told, I actually could point to some very, very good, positive things. Some really, actually, maybe some pretty exciting things. So get over the first part first. Okay, so here's what I was told. The reason there has been a delay in Batman, because a year ago when they announced Matt Reeves, the plan was not to be here in March of 2018 and still have no idea about what's going on. That wasn't the plan, okay? From what I have been told, Matt Reeves was supposed to submit a treatment. The word treatment was used. I don't know if he meant outline. I don't know if he meant first draft, but the word treatment was used. Matt Reeves was supposed to submit a treatment to Warner Brothers in late October, early November. All right? So that's when he was supposed to submit thing. We are now in March, and he has still not submitted anything to Warner Brothers. Now, again, I know that off the top that sounds like it could be negative, but wait till I get to my speculation part about why this could actually be really good. Anyway, so what I was told, he was supposed to originally submit this treatment, outline, first draft, I don't know, whatever. Late October, early November, never happened. We're still in March. From what I understand, still hasn't been submitted. Okay. Matt Reeves has this, we just talked about on the show a week or two ago that Matt Reeves just signed this new deal with Netflix. It's a multi-film deal of stuff that he's going to be working on, producing and writing on Netflix. So there's that. None of which suggests that he's leaving the Batman project, by the way. It just, people work on multiple projects at once. That's a standard thing in Hollywood. Nothing to worry about there. Now, what I was also told was them being behind where they thought they would be on Batman right now has caused a bit of a logjam with other projects they were trying to develop, which has led to one or more filmmakers departing or temporarily departing the projects they were working on. So, from what I understand, Batman was supposed to be at a certain point by now, which was going to allow Warner Brothers to develop these other films that some of them had been announced, were supposed to be at certain points in their development, but they have not been able to develop. The filmmakers on those projects have been held up from doing anything, and some have even departed because they haven't been able to make any movement on their films because they still don't know where Batman is. I'm left to speculate, does that have anything to do with the Flashpoint drama that we've seen with all the directors and writers coming and going? Maybe. Does that have anything to do with the Nightwing director departing recently to go off and do Dungeons & Dragons? Maybe. I don't know for sure. None of that was covered. I'm just speculating. That's just speculation on my point. So they haven't submitted what he was supposed to submit on time, and maybe for very good reasons, by the way. That's caused a back jam, which has caused some other problems with other projects they were trying to be doing, and it creates a domino effect. Now, this is where my speculation, so that's the extent of what I was told, okay? Now, here's where my speculation comes in here, and why, if it's what I'm speculating, and I don't know if it is, it could be very encouraging. Could be very encouraging for DC and the DCEU. First of all, nobody wants Matt Reeves to rush anything, right? Nobody wants Matt Reeves to rush anything. Provided this isn't him taking his time working on his Netflix deals instead of working on the Batman movie. Let's assume he's working on the Batman movie and he's really trying to plot it out. Here's where this becomes really interesting to me, okay? What if this Batman movie he's developing, if other films are being delayed because they rely on whichever direction Batman's going to go, that suggests to me, again, I'm speculating, that suggests to me that they may be looking at changing the entire direction of the DCEU based on this Batman movie. That's how important this Batman movie is. Now imagine, again, I'm speculating, imagine you're Matt Reeves and you've got that on your shoulders. That it's not just this one movie I'm making, it's an entire cinematic universe I'm about to reshape depending on which direction I take my Batman movie. Because you can't do, a Gotham City Sirens movie if you don't know where this Batman movie is going. You can't do a Nightwing movie if you don't know where this Batman movie is going. So let's say all that's going to be dependent on that. He's in a place where he's got to make sure he absolutely nails this Batman movie, which suggests to me that maybe DC is actually thinking about rebooting. And this, Matt Reeves, again, me speculating, maybe this is Matt Reeves. He's actually relaunching this DCEU with this Batman movie, and he has to nail it. And if that's the case, I think all of us can go, oh yeah, man, take your time. Take your time. If this is about resetting the entire direction of the DCEU, if this movie is going to set the direction for things like future DC projects, like a Gotham City Siren, like a Nightwing, like a potential Robin movie, like whatever, if what you're doing is going to set the direction for all of that, damn right, get it right the first time. You take your time. Matt Reeves is an incredibly gifted storyteller. He's an incredibly gifted director. And if he thinks he needs more time, then hell, you give him more time. And it looks like to me, again, speculation, that Warner Brothers is giving him whatever time he needs. It seems to me that Warner Brothers is not putting their foot on his throat and trying to make him rush it out. And again, to me, and this is all speculation, and I could be off by 1,000 miles. I definitely could. But I got to tell you, as a fan of comic book movies, the idea of any of that being true actually strikes me as quite exciting. Really quite exciting. And it's been a while. Now, I've liked all the DCEU movies, but it's been a while since I felt a real sense of optimism and encouragement and excitement about where the DCEU may be heading. And just based on my completely baseless speculation, I'm actually feeling a little bit excited. I'm feeling like, wait a minute, did they really have their act together? Are they really getting a gifted filmmaker like Matt Reeves and saying, you take your time. We wanted something by then. You're not ready yet? Fine. You take your time. You give us the best of what you got, because everything else that we're doing after this is going to follow in the pattern that you set. If that's the case, I find that to be incredibly exciting. Number one, for Matt Reeves. Number two, for Warner Brothers, that they're acting that way. Number three, for us fans, because it means we're going to get a really well thought out next couple of movies instead of them going, we don't know where the Batman movie's going yet, but hey, whatever, let's just rush out these other films anyway. I'm encouraged. I don't know about you. To me, that's encouraging. But again, 80% of all the stuff I just said is just speculation at this point. Let's really see where things are going. We'll find out more as things go. Now, look, Matt Reeves has been very active on Twitter, denying or affirming things that are true or not. And so, look, I fully expect if this gets out that, either he'll deny it or he'll confirm it. I don't know. But like, whatever. All I'm doing is on my own YouTube channel, talking to my own little audience, just about open movie chat. We're just a bunch of movie fans standing around a water cooler together, talking about movies and talking about what we're hearing. That's what I've heard. That Matt Reeves was supposed to submit something late October, November. They still haven't received it. That has caused a backjam a little bit of the development of other projects they were working on. However, where my speculation kicks in after that is that could be a very, very exciting development. That could mean Warner Brothers is really taking their time. That could mean that Matt Reeves is being very, very precise about what the story is he's trying to put together. This could mean really good things and something to be really excited about for the DCEU. Whether that means it's going to be rebooting or not, who knows, whatever, but anyway, to me, it means things are in a good place. Sorry, I know I rambled on that for a little while, but it's been a beat. It's been a little bit of a beat since I've been kind of optimistic and excited about the direction the DCEU may be going. And when I find something that might be something worth getting excited about, I get kind of excited. So fingers crossed, here's hoping. We'll see how things develop in the upcoming weeks and months. All right. With all that out of the way, guys, let's move on now to your live questions. You guys have been sending a bunch of live questions. I got about 10 minutes left here. And don't worry, guys, any of you who sent in live questions that I don't have time to get around to, a little bit later today, I will put up a companion video getting to all of your questions. So don't worry, your questions will get answered. Just maybe not on this video. It might be on the next one. All right, let's kick things off here. The first question comes to us from Dakota Barber, who writes, I saw on Twitter that Infinity War tickets could be available Friday. Well, I haven't seen that, but when you say you saw on Twitter, from who? I'm not asking that facetiously. Like from Bubba, who works at the 7-Eleven, or from Regal Cinemas saying tickets go on sale on Friday. So I haven't seen it myself, but they could be look, we're within the 2-month window now. They could go on sale anytime. They might wait another month, but they could go on sale anytime. So let's keep our eyes open for that. All right, next up comes to us from Guzz Off My Daddy, who writes, I think most Avengers in Avengers 3 die, so the survivors travel back in time in Avengers 4 to prevent the events, but this brings Kang, the Guzz Daddy, in. Shiz baby. Well, I mean, look, everybody's been forming these time travel theories based on some out-of-context, behind-the-scenes set pictures that got leaked. And it could be right. I mean, it totally could be legit, and it totally could be correct, this theory. But again, all these theories are being based around out-of-context pictures that got leaked from the set. And again, we talked the other day about how dangerous that can be, because usually we're always wrong. Like when behind-the-scenes set pictures get leaked without context, and these narratives that we usually build around these set pictures usually end up being wrong. It could be right in this case, but I'm just not sure. I have no idea at this point. But that's part of the fun thing about being a film fan, man. All right, next one comes to us from KW Garrett. And KW Garrett writes, Bruce Willis slept through Death Wish, so now I'm worried about him ruining the Glass movie. Do you have any faith he will show up for this movie? I do, and you're right. I agree with you. I feel like Bruce Willis completely sleptwalked. I feel watching Death Wish, and this hurts because I'm a Bruce Willis fan, it really feel like he just didn't give a shit about that movie. Like from the moment he pops up on screen to the end credits, it just felt like he did not give a shit about it. And that's unfortunate. However, I think he does care about this Unbreakable thing. I think he cares about Glass. Therefore, I'm not terribly worried about it because this is something I think he does care about. So we'll just kind of see how that unfolds. He's working with the director that he has worked with before. He's working with the director that he has had success with before, and that may light a fire under him. Here's hoping, fingers crossed. All right, next up comes to us from Benny95, who writes, Rewatched Man of Steel trailers again since 4 years ago and was reminded of how amazing they really are. It captures the movie and still gives me chills. You guys know what I think of Man of Steel, man. I absolutely adore that film. I think it's incredible. And yes, those trailers were fantastic. I thought the marketing campaign for Man of Steel was really good. Like, not Deadpool level good, but really, really good. And I enjoyed them a great deal. Stephen Rowley writes, Star Wars out today. Can't wait to get off work. Yep, Star Wars, The Last Jedi hits video today. And I just found out yesterday, I talked about it on my social media, I'm actually on the Star Wars Last Jedi Blu-ray. There's a special feature, like a 2-hour documentary, I think, called The Director and the Jedi. That's going to be a bonus feature on the Blu-ray. And I'm in like 1 minute and 30 seconds into it. There's a little 5-second clip of me that's totally relevant. Just me kind of giving a little reaction to the announcement that Rian Johnson was going to be the director. It's like 5 seconds. But first thing I did, I called my mom on the phone. I said, Mom, my mom who introduced me to Star Wars, I'm going to be on the Star Wars Blu-ray. I geeked out. No mature human being would have geeked out like I did, but I kind of spazzed out because I was really excited about it. All right, next up, James McGee writes, just purchased The Last Jedi. Awesome. Oh, there you go. Here it is. Awesome seeing you in the beginning of the documentary that comes with it, The Director and the Jedi. Thanks, man. Like, I had no idea. I had no idea that was happening. And it's funny because there was one or two other people I know, obviously, who were on it as well. And I was texting back and forth, saying, did you have any idea this was going to be there? They're like, nope, we didn't know. So that was kind of fun to see that. But it was a very pleasant surprise yesterday. James B. writes, first Star Wars Blu-ray, next a Star on the Walk of Fame. Yeah, this was coming up. It's funny. Yesterday I tweeted, Ann and I were having dinner. I had this idea for the stupid tweet. So I tweeted out, now that I'm officially on the Last Jedi Blu-ray, can I legitimately call Mark Hamill my co-star? Just being stupid, right? And then all of a sudden, Mark Hamill likes the tweet. It's like, there, I can legitimately say he's my co-star. Nathan C. writes, over under 20% that Thanos doesn't complete the gauntlet in Infinity War. I'll take the over on the 20%. I do. I don't think he's going to complete the gauntlet in this movie, in Avengers 3. I don't think it's going to happen. So I will take the over on. I'll actually set it at 51%. Like, I'm not going to be surprised if he does complete it, but I'll put it at 51% that he doesn't complete it. So that's what I'm guessing at this point. Could be totally wrong, but we're going to find out pretty soon. 7 weeks away, man. Let's see. Ike Moore writes, did you ever watch Malcolm in the Middle? I saw like 2 or 3 episodes at most. It didn't click for me, the first couple episodes. Oh, and it wasn't even the first couple episodes. Like, I watched a couple episodes several seasons in. It didn't quite work for me. Maybe if I watched more of it, it would. But, you know, I've got very limited time to watch TV shows. Usually if I don't like a show fairly quickly, I ditch it and move on to something else. So, not really. The answer to your question is not really. I never really give Malcolm in the Middle a chance. Let's see. Next one. Sharon Aurora writes, did you see the Tommy Wiseau Joker audition tape? He would make a great Joker in an extremely terrible, god-awful, and hilarious way. Well, I always encourage people, read the show notes before firing a question, because we may have already have answered that. So yes, I did see it. We talked about it in the movie news feed. It's just fun. It's just fun and funny. It's I got a big kick out of watching that audition tape. I thought it was great. Ray Lewis writes, watch the announcement on Collider, Jon Favreau working on Star Wars, and man, as quoted, another white male being hired. So much hate in the comments. When will the PC culture end? Well, here's the thing. I've already been very clear about this. You have to be purposefully ignorant and purposefully naive to not acknowledge there is a major problem, and there has been for the last 50 years in Hollywood, of female directors and basically non-white dude directors getting the opportunity to even have a shot at the director's chair for a lot of Hollywood films. When you go down the 100 most recently released films, as I did some time ago, 98 of them directed by white dudes. 98 of them. That is what's called in poker a highly mathematical improbability. To say, oh, it just so happens that 98% of them just happen to be white dudes that were the best people for the job. In poker, we call that a highly mathematical improbability. There is a problem, and it needs to be addressed, and people should be raising their voices to address that. More people who are not white dudes like me need to have at least a shot at getting those directors' possibilities and those directors' roles. Now you can say, well, why not just hire the best person for the job? When you have 98%, that means quite often there are times that people who were the best person for the job didn't get it and weren't given the opportunity because they weren't a white dude. You have to be purposefully ignorant to not acknowledge that fact, and that we do need changes. However, as I have said recently in the last couple of days, the answer to that is not to swing the pendulum all the other way and to criticize a hiring. Look, you just make yourself look stupid. Criticizing the hiring of Jon Favreau, unless you're just legitimately not a Jon Favreau fan, and if you just legitimately don't think Jon Favreau is a good director, that's a totally fair criticism then. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Let me be clear about that. If you just don't think Jon Favreau is a good director, I don't know why you think that, but if you did, that's your opinion, and then it's totally fine to express concern over his hiring. But you just make yourself look stupid otherwise to saying they just shouldn't have hired him because of the color of his skin is why you shouldn't have hired him. This guy, who's probably one of the biggest darlings at Disney right now, he kicked off the MCU with Iron Man. He just delivered a huge hit with what should have been a middling film in The Jungle Book and made it a huge triumph. So much so they entrusted The Lion King, one of the most beloved animated films of all time, to him. The guy has a massive background with Star Wars. He's a celebrated filmmaker right now. He is a no-brainer to hire. He's a no-brainer. And to simply criticize the hire just because he's white and a dude is idiotic, is absolutely idiotic. Now, a lot of people make the mistake that it's either or. Like, you can't be okay, like, you can't want and acknowledge that Hollywood needs to adapt its hiring standards and its hiring process to make sure that women, people of visible minorities, get the opportunity to get these directors' jobs. There is a problem in Hollywood and it needs to be addressed. But it's not an either or where you either have to do that or you have to do this. No, it's both and. It's not either or, it's both and. So don't fool yourself into thinking there's not an issue. It's not a PC issue. It's a real equality issue. It's not a PC issue. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you criticize anybody who gets a job just because they happen to be a white dude, especially when they are a supremely qualified person to have that job. It's not an either or, it is a both and. That's how I feel about that. Anyway, I've been going on that quite a bit the last number of days. Koba writes, oh, and I lost Koba here. Where'd Koba go? Koba, where'd you go? Koba writes, set photos show Levi has a real cape. Why is his real, but Cavill's was CGI? Oh, that's simple. First of all, Cavill's cape was much, much longer. The Captain Marvel cape is a short one. There's not going to be a lot of movement. The way they wanted Superman's cape to be able to move and flow and all that kind of stuff for visual dynamic effect is not something you can do with fans on a set. To really have full control over what his big, long, flowing cape was doing, to have the visual effect that they wanted, they decided the best thing to do, and they were right, was to make the cape CGI. Captain Marvel's cape is much shorter, will have much less dynamic movement and range, and it really doesn't matter that much. Superman's cape was a completely different scenario, and that's why they went with the CGI thing, and I think it was the right move, to be honest with you. Let's see, 2 questions more, and then we're going to wrap it up. Again, guys, don't worry, if your question doesn't get answered, it will get answered in another video later today. Benny95 writes, John, just realized Tomb Raider, Pacific Rim, Ready Player One, Rampage, and Infinity War come out practically each week. There goes my next paycheck. I am excited. I'm really looking forward to all these. I'm actually going to go watch Tomb Raider tonight. Fingers crossed. I'm hearing okay things about it. I'm not hearing marvelous things about it, but I'm also not hearing dumpster fire things about it. I'm hearing okay things about it. And for a video game movie, that gets me excited. That really, we're going to get an okay video game movie? So I'm really looking forward to seeing Tomb Raider tonight. Then, of course, we got Pacific Rim coming out in a few weeks, Ready Player One. Of course, we've seen the reaction to Ready Player One. It is a great time, Benny. It is a great time to be a film fan right now. I'm really excited for this streak of films we've got. Some of them may be bad, but I'm still looking forward to seeing them and checking them out. And finally, Anthony writes, over under 5%, Infinity War brings back Red Skull as a member of the Black Order, with his appearance being changed by Thanos. Under. Take the way under. We already know that the actor who plays Agent Smith, and he also plays, he's in Lord of the Rings. Oh my God, I love this actor. Why am I freezing on his name? Anyway, you know the guy I'm talking about. it's well known he doesn't want to come back and play the Red Skull again. He didn't have a very good time filming Captain America: The First Avenger, which is too bad because he's one of the best villains they've ever had. He was great in that. So I think it's really, really, really unlikely. I think it's very, so I won't say 0, but I will take the under on 5%. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for joining me. Listen, jump down in the comment section, leave your thoughts on anything we talked about here today. Remember, we're all fellow film fans, so if you're getting into some really cool debates with each other, just remember, we're all on the same side. Treat each other like we're fellow fans and approach it that way. That's the best thing. Be encouraging as a fellow film fan. Disagree, debate, all that kind of stuff, but do it in a good, positive way. Also, guys, make sure you're following me on Twitter, simply at John Campea, easiest way to follow me there. And don't forget, guys, yesterday we started a new segment called What We're Watching, utilizing the Stardust app. Look in the description of this video. You'll find a link to the Stardust app. Go download it. It's a great, simple app for recording 3 to 30-second little reviews of TV shows, trailers, and movies. And then if you want to see your reaction pop up on the John Campea Show in the What We're Watching segment, just make sure you tag me on the screen at John Campea, and maybe you'll see your reaction pop up on the show. Okay, guys, that will do it for me. Thanks so much for joining me here today. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.